Welcome to Talking Business. I'm your host, Darcey Edwards with Queen Bee Leadership Training. Talking Business is just that. We are talking business with business leaders, leaders in the community, and those who change their communities with entrepreneurship. This podcast is presented by Xpose Hope as a thank you to the business community. Catch us on all the platforms. Find us, follow us, and review us. Welcome to Talking Business. I'm Darcey Edwards, and today our guest is Lee Gochenour, the man of the hour. I love it.
You got me out from behind the camera.
I know. Well, and oh my gosh. So, and this podcast is to give tips and tricks and to give advice to business owners. And you've kind of had this skyrocketing kind of career path that's happened. And so
Right.
we're going to pick your brain a little bit to help some people. And so I think I want to start out with where you have kind of come from. I want people to know, like, oh my, we started here and we were in what we call kindergarten and now we're not in kindergarten anymore. We graduated.
Right.
And so why don't you give us a little background of some graduations that you've had recently?
Right. No, yeah, it definitely started when we first met. I've been doing the photography for a long time, but legitimately as a business, trying to be serious about it for about 4.5 years. And from then till now has been huge. And I mean, we've done things where I've focused on what I want to do, which is you got to be able to focus on one specific thing when your career field offers so many, right?
Yeah.
You can do a lot of it, but focus on one. And some goals that I made at the beginning that I thought were huge. Money amounts that when we first started talking and you started coaching me, where I was like, oh, making that each month would just be a dream. Well, now I panic if I don't make that.
Right.
Because it's the norm now.
Right.
And so these are all graduation steps, but also along with that, learning how to communicate your business.
Right.
If I can make you understand the benefit of my business, then you're going to hire me, right? So being able to talk your business and not be the BSer. Just talk your business and be truthful and understand what you do. Right? As a photographer, it's easy I take pictures, but as a commercial photographer, I like to focus, no, I'm here to help you grow. I'm here to get you a better client. It's not necessarily about the photography. The end result isn't, right?
Exactly.
It is, but it isn't. Is that kind of what you were getting?
Yes.
I'm not great at these.
Well, and one of the things, too, I was thinking about when you're just speaking was your flexibility, because sometimes, I would say, oh, I wish you would do this. And you're like, oh, yeah, I don't do that. And I'm like, well, today you are, because that's what we're doing. But being able to have that attitude of like, okay, I don't know necessarily how to do it, but I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
It comes out of your mouth quite often. And so as a business owner, you have to be willing to say yes mostly, and then you kind of figure out how to do it.
Right.
Right?
Both yes and no are very important answers.
Yes.
As a business owner. And I've learned
No, I cannot do that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. When you and I first met through a network group, I didn't shoot real estate. And I was very adamant about that.
Yes, you were.
And you straight up told me one day that, hey, you know what? Me hiring you is right here. You just have to say yes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And eventually I did. And now you and other realtors are a big part of my business.
Yeah.
And you especially, because again, you've been hounding me for years about dictating, voiceovering my real estate videos. And finally this last week, I did 2 of them for you. And you know what? It is hard and it's nervous, but it's fun also.
Right.
I threw in a couple little of my own little things
awesome.
in there, right?
Yeah.
And I've been having some fun with that. So growth can be fun. You kind of just got to find the right person to push that growth with you.
Right. Well, and that's key. So not everybody is willing to do that. And some people, like, it was funny, I was speaking with somebody today, and they were talking about their fear of failure, which most business owners have a fear of failure. Of course you do, because it's good to have a healthy fear.
Right.
Enough to keep you in your parameters, right? So you're not just like going crazy and doing stuff that's just off the wall. And that's good to have a parameter. It's good to have, boundaries. But the other side of it is you need to kind of know which fear it is so you can kick it out of the way, because sometimes it's detrimental fear.
Yes.
and fear of yourself.
Fear
So,
can be a healthy thing. It's there for a reason.
Right.
But it can also really hold you back
yeah,
and keep you from growth. I mean, the universe just throws these fears at you sometimes that aren't real.
yeah.
It's
You made
just-
it up in your brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Your brain going, yo, what, you really want to do this? There's a
Yeah.
risk here.
Yeah. And our bodies are taught,
Yes.
are created to keep you from death.
Right.
Okay, well, regardless if I do real estate videos or not, it's not a life or death situation for
Right.
your brain.
No,
You can tell
right.
it to be quiet.
And if I mess up the video or trying it or it didn't
Yeah.
work the first time, it's not going to
Nobody knows.
physically hurt me.
Right.
It probably won't even affect my business. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
you got to try it.
Yeah.
And
you are
I mean,
flexible.
I do
about
a
that. I love
drone
it.
now, which was one of those adamant things. You know, there's a lot of stuff I've added because of positive peer pressure,
Right.
and coaching, books. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I've definitely graduated. I like we were talking about this a little bit, and when I joined and started networking, definitely kindergarten.
Yeah.
Without question. I didn't know it at the time.
Sure.
And that's the thing, right? You have
Right.
to learn to recognize that. But now I like to say I'm in high school.
Right.
I know my focus. I know my career path, the
Right.
business, where I want my business to go and where I need to focus. I've met a couple of goals, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun to, at year 4.5, to see the growth because it's been enough now where I can look back and see a difference
Right.
and feel it. I mean, when I go grocery shopping, I feel a difference now,
Right.
right? It's so empowering and it makes you want more of that growth. So you
Yeah.
start seeking out, who can help me? What's my next step?
What's the next? Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of next steps, I always ask this question. So, what's your 3-year goal?
Me right now, I'll just share because it's been fun. I set that goal to be at least a well-known photographer in my area,
Right.
And I am that now. People recognize me that I don't even know, and that's a lot of fun. And that was a neat goal. Well, now my goal is not just the headshots, but the commercial side of it. So I want to see my business in 3 years to where I'm doing headshots still, I'm doing commercial shoots, I'm doing real estate, but maybe I've got somebody else doing it with me,
Yeah.
right? That can help grow, and maybe they excel at some of the stuff I don't, and we can make Gochenour Photography that next step of a business. Where it's
Right.
not just Gochenour Photography, maybe it's Gochenour Media Company.
Oh.
Right? Because that's been
Ooh,
kind of a
yeah.
hidden thing where I have the video, I have the photos, I have
Yeah.
audio stuff. I've got a core group of people where we can come into your business and give you everything you need.
Yeah.
From a commercial to headshots to marketing photos to a podcast.
Yep.
That's my goal in 3 years.
I love it. Oh.
If I take a vacation, which right now, as most small business owners or solopreneurs know, that doesn't happen, right?
Right.
But in 3 years, I could take a vacation and my business could keep going without me,
Absolutely.
right? How
Yep.
cool. That's my goal. That's where I see myself there. If I look back at 3 years, just like everything, growth is exponential, right?
Right.
3 years from now, it's not impossible.
No. No, I love that. Your story makes my heart, it makes my heart full just because of the fact that I can see you, I saw the growth from a back seat. And so I love that. So why don't you share, okay, so what are some of the things about your business that you do not like? And I ask this because I find it very interesting. Most
Right.
people, they will tell you right out of the gate, they know exactly what they don't love.
Right. And for me, if you look at the business, not just what the business is,
Yeah.
is business.
Yes. Most creatives
Right, and
hate the
this-
business part.
That's my advice I've been giving to people who have asked, or I've been asked to give a couple classes or something. And if I could go back when I decided I wanted to make photography a business, because photography is my passion, it's my hobby, it's what I love to do, that's going to grow.
Yep.
It's going to get better. I'm going to learn what I need to do. I'm going to focus it. That's going to improve because it's what I love to do. What I should have done, and my advice to anybody watching and listening, is learn business. Whether that's reading books, hiring a coach, taking a class at the school, a college, whatever that is, whatever your comfort level in learning is, learn the business piece. Because if you go into it like an artist, you're going to end up, and don't tell me you won't, you're going to end up giving your services away or discounting your services because you become attached to it.
Right.
As art or an art project, and it's not, it's business.
Yes.
You have to find a way to separate that, to make it.
Right.
And once I've learned that, or learning,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing. That's when growth really started.
Right.
And then whether you love it or hate it, the other thing I've learned, and I say all the time, is you could be the best at what you do, and if nobody knows you do it, they're going to hire the best that they know.
Right.
So that means...
That right there, that was a take note. If you didn't take notes,
That means
take
you got to
notes.
get in front of businesses
Right.
or people. If you want to be a family photographer, get in front of family events or get in front of people that deal with that kind of stuff. If you want to be a business like me, a commercial photographer, get in front of businesses. And that means find the chamber, the local, like here, Washington County Chamber of Commerce. I joined Washington County Chamber of Commerce about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I joined about 6 months into it, you told me, you're a photographer, why aren't you taking pictures at Chamber? And I started doing that. And just a few years later now, I'm one of the official Chamber photographers. Chamber recommends me. It has been such a huge growth tool, not just in my business photography growth, but understanding the needs of other businesses.
Yes,
and when I
that's
understand
awesome.
what another business needs, I can develop and grow to provide that product.
Right.
Whether I've been in a lot of networking groups, but Chamber right now has been the largest growth, especially during COVID.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
find your chambers, find your BNIs, whatever your personal choice is, and
Yeah.
get comfortable, and then join another one.
Yes.
But
They're
learn
part
how
of
to
your
get it. Yeah.
marketing
Yes.
team, right? So
Learn
that's
how to
awesome.
get in front of people and talk.
Yeah, and it's really people I have found, especially after COVID, are just much more graceful.
Yes.
They have that hard hitting, grind it out, which I'm
Right.
good at. But that part of it's kind of been dissipated, and it's more like, how do I support you to get to that next level?
Right.
Because I know you're right there, and helping people kind of see it from that point of view is
Right.
key. And so
And
a chamber is a
understanding-
great place to do that because they're nothing but nice.
Yes. And understanding it's a growth thing and it's a long-term game. It's not a short game.
Yeah.
You have to build trust.
Right.
And if you're nervous about speaking in front of people, which I've been trained to do it, but I'm still nervous to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
Everybody is. Remember that. Most people are nervous when they're going to get up and talk in front of you.
Oh yeah.
And most people are going to flub it up. They're going to make a mistake. Play it and move on.
Yeah.
And you will get respect. And people won't remember.
No. And they're glad they're not doing it.
Correct.
That's half the thing. I do that all the time. I'm one of those people too. I get nervous. This makes me nervous, and speaking makes me nervous.
Right.
And I flub up stuff all the time, and I know that that's going to happen, and I kind of just let it go.
Yep.
But nobody else remembers it, and they're just glad they're not the one talking. So
Exactly. Last time I was hosting or emceeing Chamber, I got nervous enough where my hand was shaking with the paper.
Right.
And what do you do with that? Because they can all see it. Oh, I'll tell you what you do with that. Bring it into the open.
right.
Soon as I said, whoa, I'm nervous. You guys are making me nervous. It went away and it was
Right.
gone, and we moved forward and nobody brought it up but me.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the people don't see your mistakes.
Right.
So that's tip number 2. Nobody
Right.
really cares. And that's the thing, is that paralysis by perfection of not doing anything or growing at anything because you're
Right.
so afraid you're going to mess it up. And that's actually been, I see that it's a real thing, and it could be debilitating to someone.
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
helping them kind of say, okay, you know what, you really do have this, and I can see the potential in you.
Right.
And that's part of the thing of, of this, is to share tips, tricks, all of that, but it's also to encourage you.
Yeah.
And that's the point of it, is to encourage people to try something. And so,
Some
Yeah.
more advice that I've had popping into my head lately. Listen to your peers, not your conscious, not that voice in the back of your head, right? If you've got all of your peers are saying, oh, that was great, you need to do that more, or do that again, or that was so cool, but that little voice in the back of your head was saying, yeah, it was a little out of focus, or my voice was a little...
Yeah.
Obviously, that didn't matter to anybody giving you that good advice.
Exactly. Yep. I know. And you do. You have to turn off the little devil, right? That's on the back of your your shoulder. You got to flick them off and just go forward and do it anyway. Yeah, because it's really helpful. What are some things that you love?
I'm in this lucky part, all that advice I just gave, where I love to talk.
Right.
I have the gift of gab. Even though I get nervous presenting.
We both do.
I know. I love to go to
This will be 17 hours long.
I love to go to a networking group and just talk and meet new people and tell them what I do. And most importantly, listen to what they do.
Right.
2 ears, 1 mouth, figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Listen to them. And I love to do that.
Right.
So I have that advantage where I'm very loud in a room. People that are in the room know I'm in the room.
Right.
So I can be a presence.
Right.
So I love that. But then the other side is I love what I do. I love photography. I love, a lot of photographers shy away from that person that you show up and they're like, I'm being forced to do this and I don't want to be here.
Right.
And that happens way more than you would think. I actually like those people because those are the people that I'm going to put my camera on a tripod so I'm not hiding behind the camera and I'm going to engage with them. And by the time our session's over, they're going to be excited they got their photo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because I'm going to give them an experience that maybe they didn't get before, and that's why they don't like their picture taken. I'm going to show them that everybody has a side, everybody has a way, and if we can get you to relax just a little bit, we're going to bring that out. And I love doing that.
You're very good at relaxing people and really making them feel like they're the center of it.
Right.
And
well, it is all about them.
Right. And giving them ideas of stuff that they never thought of before, which is super. That's what you need to be as a good photographer, is being able to give ideas.
Manipulating without being controlling.
We talked about controlling today. We talked about control freaks.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest that maybe you lean and tilt this way, but if I start telling you how to inch your shoulder, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're not a model.
Right.
You don't do this for a living.
Yeah.
You don't know what all that means, so I need to talk you through it in conversation and let you relax.
And not make it where the end of it you're exhausted.
Exactly. Right.
But anyway, so thank you so much for coming. I just am so proud of you. I'm proud of the growth that you've accumulated over these years and where you're going. I can just see you coming down the pike, and I know there's great things coming for you.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate, again, being able to be brought out in front of the camera instead of behind the camera, and everything that you and the Chamber and Betty, Xpose Hope, who sponsors this podcast, there's been so many resources that once I learned, I know we talk too much, but once I learned that these aren't a negative, these aren't, asking somebody for help to grow isn't a bad thing. It's a necessity.
It's a courage.
Right.
That's courage.
And going to somebody and saying, hey, I don't know how to do this. Guess what the end result of that's going to be? If you play your cards right, you're going to learn how to do it.
Right. Every week I feel kind of bad because I'm like, can you do this? And he goes, no. And I'm like, oh, just watch YouTube. It'll be fine. Go do it. And he's like, my hair's on fire.
But most of the time we get it done.
And it looks amazing.
Right. 2 great new recent dictating real estate videos was one, and then 2, being able to freeze frame and outline property lines. These are things you've been trying to get me to do for years.
Yes. Just do it.
And now they're a standard.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, thank you so much for having me on here. We could talk forever. High five. And thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Betty Campbell, the founder and executive director of Xpose Hope, and I'm here with your Xpose Hope moment. So this weekend, we spent a great deal of time preparing Kim's Place, a house for trafficked women to change their lives. And it was done through volunteerism, people laying floors, cleaning, moving things around, painting. So much work needed to be done. And through that volunteerism, every one of those business owners and business people were able to say they gave back to the community, put up photos of themselves working, and it let them be community involved. it's important to be community involved. We have a ton of volunteer positions available. We would love to have your help. If you're interested, connect with us at xposehope.com under the volunteerism page, or email us xposehope@gmail.com. XPOSEHOPE@gmail. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Talking Business, brought to you by Xpose Hope. We can be found on all of your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, iTunes, all of them. Also, be sure to like us, share us, and leave a comment. Who do you want to hear from? We want to know.